We are on location at OSHEAGA 2024 with Sofia Kourtesis. Hello, how are you?
I'm so happy. Thank you so much for having me. I'm having like my relaxing moment, Like after the show, I'm
the
trying
after
to
show.
calm down.
Now, we were talking about your set. You said that it was a very sort of EDM-based crowd tonight and that you have to sort of read the crowd based on their vibe. Talk to me about that.
So basically, I wanted to start very like disco and housey, but then I want really like a raver, like maybe like modern raver with a little bit of Caribou and Barry Can Swim. But then I said like, okay, now I feel so comfortable that I'm gonna bring some like Berghain Berlin techno into the floor. And I was very happy because the people were vibing, so I was very like,
Yeah.
But as I told you, I wanted to play reggaeton, but I think they're going to look at me very weird.
Now, I mean, do you really prepare a lot of the songs that you do in a DJ set beforehand, or is it a situation where you always adapt?
I read the crowd. So, of course, I'm all the time like updating like all the songs, or sometimes when I find a really nice vinyl, I re-record it and then I try to make some edits. And I don't know, I like to mix everything. But at the end, like the most beautiful thing that you can do is just read the crowd and see how it goes, I don't think that I can really prepare 100% or make a playlist. It's not me, I love the challenge of like doing a lot of mistakes and then getting the crowd and, So that's how things should be, Otherwise it would be just,
So you like the process of sort of winning the crowd over, so to speak, even though many of them already know you and they're fans.
I really like the thing of like going with them, like making them enjoy it and showing something new, So I guess like it's a beautiful challenge to have like this little trip with them,
Yes, that's beautiful. Now let's go back to some of your roots for a second.
Yes.
Your father was in a rock band?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What instruments did your father play?
Well, he played the keyboard and he was a singer as well, and he played the guitar. So I grew up in a very like a musical household.
Very musical.
Yeah.
So how did that impact you in terms of being a musical person yourself? It must have been a huge influence.
It was a huge influence. But remember, I'm a frustrated filmmaker. I wanted to be a filmmaker.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm so jealous about your job.
There you go. They want to be them. We want we want to be them. They want to be us, right?
Yes, it's always like this.
I love that. So I mean, that musical background, did that really push you to go to Berlin, for example? Was that one of the main fuels for the fire?
Yeah, like I think also because like I was like very like searching what I wanted in life, and I was very young and I got bullied a lot in school because I was like, like I was falling in love with girls and it was very hard. So at the end I decided to go to Germany and study film, like calm down a little bit and escape a little bit from home.
So music wasn't really in the plans at that point?
At that point, music was always in the back in my head.
Right.
But I really wanted to like write movies and write like things. But I was always a writer since I'm a child.
Yeah.
Music was like only like a matter of time that it would happen,
You were writing in some form at all times, basically.
All the time. I love to write like music, poetry, like like maybe like some script for little movies, all these things,
Talk to me about the relationship between music and films, because I mean, it's just, they're so simpatico, right? I mean, maybe, what do you think that's due to?
So basically, I think I see the song before I write it.
Right.
Because I'm so in love with movies.
Yeah.
And visual, I'm a very visual person. So I see the idea, I see the movie, and then I create the soundtrack for that. So for me, like movies are very important, always.
What movies or TV shows would you say have the greatest soundtracks that have maybe inspired you? Because I know you sampled a lot of them as well.
Yeah. Did you watch the movie like The Warriors? Like
I don't believe so.
It was like in the 70s. I like a lot of like, it could be like a soulful soundtrack, but also like I really like Twin Peaks. The soundtrack of Twin Peaks, I find it very beautiful. Like, but also like, I think everything. Sometimes when I'm in a sad mood, like I really like to think about the soundtrack from Rocky Balboa, like when you're preparing, dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun,
exactly.
dun, dun, dun. I was feeling this for my first Tomorrowland set. I was like,
yeah,
dun, dun, dun,
blasting
dun,
that in the dressing room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's like a lot, and I really love like a lot of soundtracks from Sofia Coppola. So yeah, like more like the indie stuff, back in the days, like Phoenix or Air or like The Strokes. Yeah.
Oh man, I like that.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. Is it true that you secured your first record deal due to the fact that you got drunk one evening?
Yeah.
It is true.
I was drunk.
Talk to me about that.
So because I was very shy, like there was like one of my favorite labels called Studio Banhaus, and I was like, I said like, oh yeah, well, when you get all the confidence, and I was like drinking Jägermeister at home and writing and finishing this track. I don't know, how do you feel when you're doing something creative?
Yeah.
You force a lot of energy, then you pause, and then you keep going.
Right.
And then in one moment, you need something dramatic to happen to finish it.
Absolutely.
So I said, like, if I like drink all like the half of the bottle right now, I'm gonna send this email.
Oh my gosh.
And I was very drunk, and I think like I wrote him like a very like psycho email. Like, Axel, if you're listening to this, I'm very sorry.
We send our apologies.
It was a hilarious email, and then it was everything because of the I'm not like I don't drink so much, but I was very drunk. And then I sent it to him, and then the next day he said like he really loved this track. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did the world of music change for you when you were signed and you really were brought on board in that way?
I think it has like his positive and the negative things. I think the positive things is like I can be more active to talk about the things that are very important for me, like the activism that I do.
For sure.
And it's like and not I don't think I take so many things so serious.
Right.
I just like to use my platforms to help my friends, So that's the things that I can do.
Now, in terms of being an artist and sort of an activist, I mean, being an activist comes with being a role model to a certain extent. What are your thoughts on that relationship between artists and being a role model? Because many artists will say, I'm not a role model at all. Others, they use their platforms, such as yourself, to bring awareness to things.
Yeah. I think it's a hard question to answer because at the end, you have to respect everybody is very unique and very, like, individual. So maybe they feel like, they just need a little push maybe to talk about what is in the heart. And I think, of course, we are a role model for people that listen to us, and it would be lovely if everybody can like share like kindness and all these things. But if they cannot talk about this in the platforms, maybe they talk about this with friends. Like I don't want to judge them, I think everybody has like their own story. Yeah.
I like that, though, because you can stand on your own 2 feet with your message, but also not judge somebody else.
Yeah, I only judge when people are very evil.
Sure.
Then
well,
I judge.
Sometimes there's a reason to judge. I would agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you about this. The scene in Berlin, you started sort of in like a music venue, bar type of thing when you first got there.
Yeah.
How would you describe the music scene in Berlin compared to, a place like Canada, for example?
I think every place, again, is very unique. But the thing about Berlin is like it's... I don't like to compare, but it's like for me, it's like my home is like a lot of history, like up from the classical moment, classical music, Funkhaus. It's like it's like this liberty to create, and like all this like it's like very like. Just when I arrived in Berlin, I felt very liberated and very free, and for me, like the clubs there are like Berghain and Tresor. It's like. When you go to a museum to watch art, I went there to listen to music. So I watched a lot of Detroit techno DJs, but also like a lot of German amazing DJs as Ben Klock or Ellen Ellion or like Marcel Detman. So for me, it was like I was like a child like in the candy store with all these amazing musicians and the way they used to play at that time with vinyl for me was like, wow, one day I want to be able to do this as well,
And now you're doing it. It's incredible.
Now I'm doing it.
And now we're here.
I hope so. I'm pretending that I'm doing it.
No, you're killing it. They're loving it out here.
Much.
Sophia, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for making some today.
Thank you so much for taking your time and having me here.